Why, hello. Welcome to another unedited video. Welcome to The Rosey Life. Welcome where we help you free your mind and follow your heart so you live a life that you love. Thank you for subscribing to The Rosey Life. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for being a part of our exponential growth. I appreciate you guys all so much. So I enjoy reading your comments. I enjoy answering questions. Sometimes we have some good laughs, and thank you, members, for being a part of the membership channel. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys over there soon as well. So today I want to talk about something that is obvious, but I guess not obvious enough, because it brings everyone back to the question of, where's my stuff? Where is it? And also people struggling with belief and faith that what they claim is theirs, and it's actually going to unfold and reveal itself through you, as you. And so there's this continuation of looking outside of you outside of you in your 3D, and looking for that evidence and proof that it's happening, either that's through signs or feelings, thoughts, what people are saying, or what people are doing or not doing, that kind of thing. So many times people revert to looking for those kind of things. And I think the most common one is people looking in with their own thoughts and feelings, or waiting for their feelings and thoughts to be different, or to be different, and like they expect to never have a negative thought or feeling ever again. And the moment they do, it's like all hell breaks loose. It's like you think that you screwed up and that nothing's happening and it's not working. So many of you heard Neville Goddard, by this point, talk about living in the end. And he talks about that in many of his lectures. And he always says, when you imagine, right, or you affirm that you go to the end, that you go to the end and stay there, you remain there. And then also Bashar talks about that knowing always transcends faith and belief. And not only him, but other teachers say that too, but the knowing, right? Knowing is what he's saying is knowing how manifesting works, or knowing, as he would say, how your mechanism works, and knowing how the structure works, which is God, I am, and the I am within us all. Knowing how that structure works, he calls structure I am. Knowing how that works, once you know how that works, you don't question it anymore. And he says, like, once you know how to drive a car, you don't question it anymore, right? You just get in and start driving. But when you first learn how to drive a car, then you have lots of questions. But once you know how to drive a car, you drive a car. And he says the same thing with manifesting, that knowing transcends faith. It transcends belief. So you're no longer required, right? Or you are never required, actually, but belief and faith are not required to manifest. And the knowing how you work, you are the mechanism, you are the structure, okay? You are the I am. Once you know how you work, that's it. That's it. It transcends any needing to feel faith, feel belief, it transcends questioning if you're doing it right, if you're doing it wrong. You drop all of that. I need to change my beliefs. You drop all the self-concept work, all of that. So I want to come back to living in the end. So the reason I believe Neville Goddard talked so much about living in the end and visualizing at the end is, this is going to sound so simple, but stick with me, because all we are ends. That's all there is. There's infinite options of ends. When I talk about choosing and deciding who you are, that's all there is. There's infinite choices of ends. How do you, or ends or outcomes, different ways you want things to be, right? So you are infinite options of ends. That, because whatever it is that you want, if you want to be financially free, it's because you want to feel security or happy or whatever, right? If you want a ton of money, you want to feel free to do whatever you want. So you go to the end. And what is that? You want to experience this sense of freedom. And then, you imagine something that implies that that's who you are. Maybe you're buying your whole family brand new cars, or everybody gets a house, or whatever. I don't know, right? And it doesn't matter. It's unique to each person, because what's my end is going to absolutely not make any sense to any of you. And whatever your end is not going to make any sense to any of us, because we're not you and you're not me. So that's why it doesn't make sense. What did you imagine? What do you affirm? It's like, why? Me or anyone else is not you, right? So you have to, in your own personal reality, your own little bubble of your reality that you exist in, and we all have our own, you got to decide, all right, well, really, what would I tell myself if I had what I want? Or what would I tell myself, or what would I see? It doesn't matter if you imagine, if you can see it or not. Just what would you tell yourself, or what would you see? Or, like Neville, there's all kinds of techniques, and it really doesn't matter. They all work. Okay, let's get that out of the way. They all work. It doesn't matter which one you use. One's not more powerful than the other, and you don't have to do all of them and none of them. But let's get beyond that. Okay, we're like leveling up on this channel. We're not staying basic. We're no basic bees here anymore, okay? So living in the ends is because that's all we are. We are a infinite catalog of ends, or wish fulfilleds. Notice I keep saying wish fulfilleds, ends, because it's when we choose something, we go to the end. We just say, well, what do I want? I want to be this person. Okay, say you're that person. That's going to the end. Say you're that person now. That's going to the end. Notice that no teacher that understands the law of assumption, or the law of one, right, which is the law of one, it transcends law of assumption, law of attraction, all the different universal laws, because it comes back to the one source, one power, one God, one infinite intelligence that we are all in. That source is in us, and we are in it. Okay, so doesn't matter. Some people get their feathers ruffled when I do hashtag law of attraction. I'm doing that on purpose, because there's a lot of law of attraction people that are struggling, and I'm bringing them in. I include them. And I am the law of attraction. I am the law of assumption. I am all the laws. I'm everything. So how can you sit up here and say, oh, only Neville Goddard, or only so-and-so is right? Or it's just like, okay, if that's what you believe, but whether you believe it or not, you're all of it. You're all laws. You are the law. You are the law of one. There's only one power. And you want to integrate all the different laws and all the different techniques and everything. You're just like, yeah, I know, they're all me. I can use them all whenever I want to, because they're all me. They're all within me. I'm not in them. I'm not learning to use them. They're in me, and I'll decide if and when I use any of them. Do you see the difference? That's the law of one, that there's only one power, one God, and we are all in it, and it's in us all. But going back to the ends, that's what a queen or king does. They point and say, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this result. Go make it happen. I want that. Go make it happen. They don't sit there and hash out the details and negotiate. This is not a debate. Okay, this is not a candidate debate. I don't have to negotiate with anyone. And you don't have to negotiate with anyone. This is not up for discussion. You're choosing who you are. You're going to the end. And you're saying, I am that. So tying this in with what Bashar says is, once you know something, you don't need to have faith anymore, because you know it. Knowing who you are, I am all that is. There's only one source. I am that source of it all. Everything. Everything already exists within me, right? Everything exists within you, each of us, all of us. If I can think it, it not only already exists, but I exist in that version, in all versions, all at the same time, right here, right now. It's like a deck of cards, right? I don't know how many cards are in a deck. I want to say 52, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. One of you smarty pants will probably Google it and put it in the comments, and so thank you. But whatever, let's just pretend it's 52. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. 38, 21, I don't care. Okay, let's just pretend it's 52. Well, if you pull one card out of that deck, right? Just because you pull one card out of that deck doesn't mean that it doesn't belong to that rest of the deck. You just pulled out one card, but you put it right back in because it will always be a part of that deck. So if you spread out 52 cards on the table and you look at them all individually, those are all different, for example, versions of you. You have more than 52, or whatever number is in a deck. Okay, but let's say you spread them out on a table and those are all different versions of you. And you exist in every single one of them. Let's say one is when you're 10, one is when you're 30, one is when you're 100, one is when you're rich, one is when you're poor, one is when you're healthy, one is when you're sick, one is when you're married, one is when you're divorced, one is when you're single, right? No matter which one you pick up, which card you pick up individually, you're still part of the whole deck, meaning you're all of them. You don't have a choice. You're all of them, like it or not. You're all of them. You're all the decks. You're the law of one. You're the law of assumption. You're the law of attraction. You're all of it. You're all the techniques. You're all of it. So no matter which card out of the deck you pick, okay, you pick it up to experience, to say, okay, I want to experience this one. But you exist in all those other cards of the deck at the same time. You think because you can see, touch, hear, smell this one card that that's the one that you are, and the other ones are just nice ideas. No, sweetie, you exist in all of those different cards at the same time. Those are more I'll even venture out to say those are more real than the one that you're experiencing. But really, they're all real, and they're all equally viable options, and they're all ends. Because if you pick one card at a time, it has a built-in past, present, future. It has a whole history built into it. But when you say, which one do you want to pick, you go to the end of each of those cards, and you say, I want this one, and you go to the end. So that's why you are infinite ends. That's all we are. The unfolding, how we how that reality, that you chose reality, how it unfolds in our life, in our 3D. That's not, we don't do that. We're not the ones that do that. That happens for us. That's done for us, through us, and as us. No one's doing it to you. It's actually you unfolding it through yourself, but you don't see it because you're so busy looking at your 3D and what you're experiencing with your five senses. But you're actually unfolding it yourself, through you, as God. It's being done through you. And we use terms like higher self, the I am, right? But remember, you're all of those. You're playing all the parts. And because it all begins with the one, with God, and we each individually have this unique spirit or I amness within us, higher self, right? That can see all the paths and avenues on how something can be, but it's still coming from that one source. So you are unfolding everything for yourself, but the little you, the ones with the eyeballs, ears and mouth and nose and ears and hair and all that stuff, right? He or she can't see it. He or she can't see the unfolding, because you are the unfolding itself. So your higher self, which is you, also does all the unfolding. And then this physical you gets to experience and see how it happened. You don't, the little you, the physical you, doesn't see how it can happen. It can't. The little brains are not wired for that. But your higher you is the one that can see how it can happen in infinite ways. So it's all you. It's not like it's you and some magical, mystical thing that's out there that's going to deliver something to you. It's literally you unfolding it as yourself, through yourself, for yourself. It's all you. So living in the ends, right? That's all we are. We, as a little us, this physical five senses us, we're just picking an end all the time, like literally, constantly. If you're hungry, you're picking what you're going to eat at the end. I don't know how many of you guys do this, but I do this all the time. If I can't decide what I want to eat, I imagine myself eating different options. Do I want a burger? Pizza? I imagine myself eating these things. We do this very fast. Every time you choose to do something, go to the bathroom, drink, eat, talk, pick up the phone, watch a movie, those are all ends. Those are all ends. Going to work, going to bed, whatever it is, those are all ends. You're constantly living in some end. And every time you choose, that's an end. Do you see how easy, how much we complicate choosing and deciding and assuming and all those things when you're doing it all day long? And that's what Bashar is talking about, is when you know how the mechanism works, faith isn't required. So now you understand. You're always living in the end, so you're just choosing what you want next. And that you are the chooser, and your higher self does everything for you, but that higher self is you too. So it's like you don't have to be worried about, does my higher self, does my I am know what I want? It's like, it's you. It's you. It's like the infinite intelligent version of you, right? It's like, I know Rose has her brain that she thinks is super smart, but who I really am, my higher me, is infinite intelligence. So hell yeah, of course I know everything. I am everything. So I have all the answers. Do you see? So living in the ends, that's all we're doing. We're constantly in the end of something. Whether wanted or unwanted, you are constantly in the end, whatever you're aware of. And knowing how your mechanism works, or your structure, or your I am works, is that simple. I am everything. I am all that is. Everything that I desire or want or need already exists. And I exist in it, like the deck of cards. I exist in all of it right here, right now. I am only choosing who I want to be. And for those vibration people that watch my channel that are into energy and vibration still, about aligning to that desire, to that card you selected, right? The alignment is knowing that you already exist in it, that you're already it. It already exists. You're not creating it. It already is. That's the ultimate alignment, is knowing that you already are everything and there's nothing to figure out. It's your acceptance that it already exists because you're already it. And that's the knowing, is knowing how this works. And you are it. It's like it's always working. It's been working since the day you were born and before. It's always working. And so when you find yourself struggling or freaking out or thinking, that's you still refusing to accept how this works. Once you accept how this works, game on. There's nothing else to figure out. Now you understand that no matter what technique you do or you don't do, no matter how you affirm it or you don't, it's not in the technique. It's in the acceptance that you already it, all of it, and that you already exist in all of it, and that it's all right here, right now, forever. It doesn't matter because you never die. Do you see? So when I say these things, the first thing people think of is they think of physical, experiences. Like, and I said, I said I was going to do this in the video to one of my clients. Here it is. Let me show you. Okay. I wasn't going to do it in this video, but I'll just do it now. So, this is a fan, okay? So, I got this one in Spain. So, do you see this fan? If I choose an option like I am wealthy, right? I'm choosing it from all that is, from infinite eternity, from I am God. Remember, when you're playing around in who you really are, when you're in imagination, when you're playing, meaning when you're playing in your imagination, that is not past, present, and future time. That there's no feelings involved there. There's no thought involved there. There's no time. There's no space. There's no names. There's no five senses. None of that exists. When you imagine and assume something, you're not doing it as a little person with a brain. You're doing it as God, as I am. You're tapping into infinite intelligence, like kind of like Dr. Joe Dispenza says, you go into that space of darkness in imagination where you see nothing, and he's trying to guide people into getting out of their head, out of their thoughts, out of their feelings, out of time, out of space, out of the senses, because that's where you choose, okay? So when you're choosing, right? So let's say, okay, I choose this one, this option. Remember, it's an end. We're choosing from infinite ends. That's all we're ever doing. We're not choosing hows. We're not choosing wins. We're choosing ends, okay? How and when is part of what I'm going to get to next. So this is your choice, okay? The end that you chose. Let's say it's, I am wealthy. So your only job, this is the knowing. Knowing transcends faith. The knowing is, my only job is to choose who and what I want to be. From the knowing that I already am it, that it already exists and I exist in it. You see the difference? I'm not choosing it to make it happen. I'm not choosing it because I am afraid I don't have it, or because I'm afraid of looking at my bank account, or because of Oh my God, can I choose it because I'm not worthy? Again, if you're still in that, you're still stuck in that, the 3D linear thinking, that you're limited in your little brain and you have thoughts and feelings and that's who you are. Again, we're not choosing there. We're choosing from the infinite I am, from infinite ends. Okay, so here's the end. I am wealthy. Your only job is to remain there and say, no matter what, say, this is what I choose. I'm this. I can be any choice I want to. I no longer choose to be the one that has some money, but I want to be the one that is balling with money. Okay? So now you made that choice. So how does it unfold? How do you go, not from, because there's no from. How do you become this person that's balling with money? You're saying it, you're living in the end of it, but how do you become it? Remember, your higher self does all of that unfolding and becoming for you. You're only choosing the end. So your higher self, okay, I did my part as this little me, free will me, and then my higher self, which is just me on steroids, that knows everything and sees everything and knows how to do it, where to guide me, what to tell me to do, everything. That's what I know does all the howling. Okay, I can't see it because my human brain is not wired to see the how, but my higher self, that spirit within me, can see everything, and it's me. So of course, why wouldn't I know or trust in that? Because it's me. Do you see? So, and you don't even have to trust it. You just have to know that that's how it works. And that's what Bashar is talking about. Knowing transcends trust and faith. It's just knowing. You accept, okay, this is how it works. Flat out. Stop asking questions. I don't need to understand all the deets behind it. I just need to know this is how it works. Okay, so I chose my end. So now, but how do I experience with my 5 senses as little Rose becoming like, how do I become like this balling billionaire, right? How do I become her? I don't know, but I just choose her. But the how is going to happen. It's inevitable, okay? Because I chose it. And I accept that I already exist in it as it, and now I know it's going to happen. So how we experience something, well, how would I experience becoming that, right, is it opens up. Okay, you see? I don't know if you can see the whole fan in here. So now it opens up in something we call 3D that contains a past, present, and future. So once it opens up, now we begin to see, oh, here's the story. Here's the story of how I became it, the past, present, and future. Oh, that makes sense. And some things happened, and some things are happening, and some things continue to happen. It makes sense as to how. But the only place that the past, present, and future has a place in this whole game of life is for us to experience how we became something, how I became a billionaire. So it unfolds in 3D, it unfolds in past, present, and future, so that I can experience and have this story and build this whole identity around how I became a billionaire. Do you see? But pay attention, because it unfolds literally, right? It unfolds into past, present, and future. But guess what? That's just the experience in the 3D. Okay? That's just the experience. But the minute I decide to be something else, right, it closes up. But notice, whether it's closed or open, it's still the same. So the past, present, and future unfolds inside of this. It's all part of it. It's not separate. And the past and the future, actually, the past and the future, right, is just the story of something. It's the storyline of it, because there really is no past or future. And so when you choose something different right now, you literally affect this past and future. So everything you experience is going to feel like it has a past, present, and future, right? The unfolding of it, right? However, that past can be on its own, and the future can be on its own too, because we weave these things together to give us a story of things that make sense to us. But really, it's a deck of cards, like I did the 52 cards. Really, everything is its own little card. The past is its own card, the present is its own card, the future is its own card, and all the how I got from the past to the present, those are all their own little cards. And then you have the present, its own little card, and then the future, all its own little cards. And then we weave it together like a fan to give it that continuity of motion, right? That it's all happening together, but we're just weaving these different stories and realities together. I know that made sense to a lot of you, and you guys might have to watch this a couple times, but the premise of this video, and maybe I'll talk about that more with an actual deck of cards for you guys, but in more depth. But the premise that I wanted to focus in is that we are infinite ends. That's who and what we are. We are infinite ends, and once you know that that's all we are, and that you exist in all of those ends right now, you exist in all of them right here, right now, which one are you going to choose? And if you exist in all of them, that's why you can expect it to happen. You can expect it to unfold because you're choosing it. There's no one choosing for you. No one can choose for you. It's just you choosing for you. That's why you expect it to be. That's why you expect it to unfold like a little story in your life. But understanding that any past, right? That's why you can choose a different past. You can choose a different future, and you can choose a different now, because they're all different realities that you can decide that they're different. But we weave them together to give us this feeling of time, this feeling of space, this feeling of things passing by. But that's not what's happening. That's why Neville talks so much about living in the end and accepting that it's done. So you're just accepting that it's done. You're not asking, but how is it done? But why is it done? But when's it done? That's not accepting. That's not living in the end. Remember, this is about knowing how it works. And that's what I talked about quite a bit in this video, knowing how it works. And once you know how it works, you accept that that's how it works. And then you will see it in your own life with your own experience. Because once you have an experience of your own, right, that's a spiritual understanding. When you have the experience of yourself, of things unfolding for you, that is spiritual understanding. We can all understand things by reading books, learning an operating manual and all that stuff, but without that personal experience of driving a car, you won't get it. You can read all about driving a car, the rules of the road, and how to do this in the car and the other. It's like, there's no way. I remember when I taught my son how to drive stick shift, and that was the first car that I learned how to drive with stick shift, and I never forgot. And I haven't owned a stick shift. I didn't own a stick shift since I was 18 years old. And the car that I drive now is a stick, and I got in it, and it was just like riding a bike. I never forgot. And I remember teaching my son how to drive stick shift, and I kept explaining to him what you do with the pedals, how you put your feet on the pedals, and on the brake and with the clutch and with the stick shift and everything. And I'm just like, you know what? All this explaining won't do. It doesn't even come close until you get in the car and you do it. I said, you just got to feel that pedal. You just got to feel the balance of the pedal and know when to shift gears. And you'll hear when you're in the wrong gear, right? But it was his firsthand experience of actually doing it, and he had to do it quite a few times. He had to grind the gear in my car quite a few times before he actually got it. But once he got it, and now he will forever know it. So do you see? So once you know it, you know it. You can't forget it. But he accepted it. That's just how it is. He can say, but why do I have to stick the clutch in so far? But why do I have to hit the brake? But why do I have to do this? It's like, he didn't do that. He was just like, no, this is, you either drive stick or you don't, right? And he wasn't questioning. He's just like, I want to learn how to drive it. And that's no different than what we're doing here and talking about who we are. Once you know it, you know it. And once you know it, you experience it. Once you experience it, you're just like, okay, I got it. So, all right, my loves, thank you again for subscribing. Thank you for liking the video. I love you all so, so much. You're all so freaking amazing. We're so amazing. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye.